Bellerin! Bellerin! Hector Bellerin!
In by Mustafi. Bellerin! 2-2!
Hector Bellerin, Bellerin, Hector Bellerin. Na, 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 na. That's a song. Yeah.
All right. Arsenal are top of the league. Where do they go from here? Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of Saved by the Bellerin, the Arsenal football video cast here on the Sports Talk Line Network. I'm Raphael, joining you from the U.S. And this week, joining me from London, my Arsenal compatriots to my immediate left is Sam. Welcome, Sam.
Hello, mate. Hope you're well.
Always good, especially when Arsenal has 6 points out of 6. And right below him, running in, sprinting in to give us his 2 cents about the Arsenal is Ryan. Welcome back, Ryan.
Hello, mate. I hope you're well.
Oh, we're all good. We're all good. You know, again, we're Arsenal's tied at the top. We're all good. In this episode, we're going to talk about that. Arsenal start their kind of shaky game against West Ham. 3 points, but they didn't come easy. We'll also talk about tomorrow's Carabao Cup fixture against Leicester City. What kind of squad will Arsenal put out? Will Arteta put out? And then, of course, there's lots and lots of transfer rumors. You know, is Lucas going out? Is Thomas Partey finally coming in? We'll talk about that and many, many, many others. But first, let's go back to the weekend. Sam, they made us sweat a little bit against West Ham. Not quite as easy as we had hoped, but they got the result that everybody wanted. So this club maybe showed us a little bit more grit than we're used to and that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, obviously we're not going to win pretty all the time. Obviously, that's the long term hope for Arteta. But where we are right now, sometimes we are going to have to grind out some games. And against West Ham, we did do that. I think in regards to the game, it is West Ham's lack of quality that helped us as well. I personally felt we was too sideways, we was too slow, we was quite sloppy in possession. It had a bit of an Emery type game feel to it, but ultimately we made the subs with Nketiah coming on, Danny Ceballos breaking into the West Ham box, managed to slide one across, and gave us a 2-1 win in the end. So overall, happy with the 3 points. I said on Twitter at the time I wasn't happy with the performance, but it is what it is, and we got the 3 points. So hopefully next game it'll be an improvement, but right now I can't really complain about it.
Ryan, I think one of the distressing parts for those of us chatting, watching, sharing during the match, it seemed that some of the bad habits that Arsenal we'd hoped that we'd never see again kind of crept back in. Were very sloppy getting out of their own third, especially in the first half. A lot of turnovers. People like Xhaka, Ceballos, our midfield was seeming to could be helping West Ham as much as they were helping Arsenal. A lot of deja vu, but not in a good way.
No, and I'll go back to the fact that this still isn't his squad. And he's still cooking with another man's ingredients, as you like to put it. And he's a very good manager, but he's not a miracle worker. These players still need to be coached and into getting rid of the bad habits. They're still there. These players are right now not good enough to challenge the top four. So these performances are kind of expected from us at the moment, especially with the news, or we don't really know who's coming and who's going at the moment. So these kind of performances can be expected, but we still got the win. That's the most important part. We didn't play very well, but we grinded out a win, and that's good mentality-wise. That's another thing he's changed while he's been here, is the mentality of our players. We always believe we can get something. And I saw a quote, I think it was on Twitter, where we drew 1-1 with Wolves last season, and Emery said, it worked out tactically how we wanted, But then Arteta, after a 2-1 win against West Ham, where he just grinded it out, we managed to win. He said, we've got a lot of things to improve. And that's the difference. That's the culture and the mentality that we have now. So we can always improve.
All right, Sam, let's take my metaphor about cooking with another man's ingredients. One of the new ingredients that is here really helped save this club on Saturday. I'm talking about Gabriel, second start, right off, what do you have, 4 days of training with the club. He's inserted into the lineup. And he was really, with all the turnovers in the midfield and sloppy play getting back, he was a rock in the center and was really kind of helped Arsenal from losing this match so that they could go in and win it.
Yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic. You literally cannot say a bad word about this player in the 2 games that he's played. Barring one shaky moment, he has literally been, he got Arsenal's man in the match of the game. One thing that I spoke about on Twitter afterwards, when Leno spilt the ball, no fault of his own, because I'm not being funny, any goalkeeper coming down at that angle, they're not holding on to that ball. But he had the awareness to get in and very, very quickly get the block in. And I didn't realise that when watching the game, but watching a repeat of that motion, he reacted so well and so quickly. It was absolutely brilliant. And it's something that you love to see. He isn't shy about being physical. He will go up with anybody. He will try and muscle somebody off the ball. He's an absolute unit. And if this is how he's starting, I cannot wait for him to get fully integrated into this team and fully adapted to the league, because personally, I think this is just the start for him and there's a lot more to come from him. And obviously, building from the back, it's building a solid base. I think once David Luiz comes in, it'll be a bit easier for Gabriel, because obviously the language barrier would diminish. So he'll be able to effectively communicate with David Luiz. Same with William Saliba, if and when he comes in. Obviously, from Gabriel speaking French also. So I think right now, once we can settle on a solid defensive partnership or back three, depending on how it's going, then for me, our defence is for finally, and for all the years that we've all been asking and praying for, it's finally got to the standard where it needs to be at. So for me, Gabriel, absolute mustard, can't go wrong. And for me, the fee that we paid for him was an absolute bargain.
So speaking of another new ingredient, one who wasn't around and one we really, really missed, Ryan, I was talking about Kieran Tierney. Some concern he was pulled in the pre-match. It looks like it was precautionary. Was this simply a matter of Mikel looking at it, hearing his hip was tightening and saying, no, this is West Ham. I really need you for Liverpool?
Yeah, Arsenal official channels today confirmed that he will be back in full training at the end of the week. He has a tight groin and he should be back by Friday, they said. So he's going to sit out tomorrow, but he'll be back for Liverpool and have Salah in his pocket again.
Something, a habit, it's become a habit with him. We hope it stays a habit. In the short term, though, tomorrow, I'll stay with you. Quick answer there. They jump right back in. Tough match in the Carabao Cup. They play Leicester City away. How much of a rotation are you expecting tomorrow? How many of the starters? Again, the next league match is Liverpool. Both teams coming in with 6 points. Arsenal's beaten them twice, and the Liverpool partisans can say, it was when we already had the league in our pockets, and it's Community Shield. Nobody's going to kill themselves with the Community Shield. Still 2 wins over Liverpool. Arteta feels he's got some mojo working. His players must feel a little bit more confident, even though they're going to Anfield. There's not going to be a crowd there. How much is he going to save for that match, and who might we expect tomorrow to walk out at King Power?
I think we're going to see a strong squad, but I don't think we'll see our important players. I don't think we'll see Ceballos. I don't think we'll see Xhaka. I don't think we'll see Aubameyang. But I can see us field in a strong squad because Arteta likes to talk about momentum and confidence in football. Stringing a few wins together at the start of the season is imperative for us because right now we don't have the right squad. So we need confidence flowing throughout the whole 25-man that we have available to us. So I can see strong squad. I can see us trying to get a result. You know what Mikel is like. He won't leave any trophy. He'll try and win every single trophy available to him because winning mentality breed positive results. So hopefully, I say hopefully, I'm expecting a very strong squad. I'm hoping to see a certain German as well, but seems very unlikely.
Well, it seems, I'm going to stay with you because we're talking about Carabao, then I get to Sam, we'll start the transfer ball rolling, but we can expect a new keeper, I think. Isn't that almost a given? This new kid that they got from Dijon, he's not a kid, he's 24, but we should expect the new keeper to go right in, and his debut will be tomorrow evening.
I hope so. And I watched his interview and I was pleasantly surprised at how good English he speaks. So I think he's going to settle in really well. I can, hopefully he plays tomorrow. I'd like to see what he's about, see how he can challenge Leno. And I liked how he has so much confidence in himself. From his interview, he said he's a modern day goalkeeper. He can play with both feet. So essentially, Santi Cazorla in goal.
Hey,
He can keep.
if he can live up to that, I'm all for it.
He said he's very good one-on-one. So if Arsenal's goalkeeping coach, Inaki Kana, says he's good enough, he's good enough for me.
Okay, Sam, let's bring you in. I mean, people are waiting, I think, to talk transfers. A lot rumors. I mean, we're 2 weeks away. Transfer deadline is 2 weeks from yesterday. And again, just a quick shout out to all of you who are joining us. If you're regulars, if you're not, we are going to have a almost like all day transfer day show right here. We're going to set it up. We're going to stack our drinks and sandwiches, and we're going to be giving you Arsenal related and all Prem related deadline day news. But in the short term, Sam, finally, it seems there was movement between Arsenal and Atletico Madrid with Thomas Partey at the center of it. It seems that, I don't know if these are independent deals or they're intertwined deals, but it does look like Lucas Torreira could be going south to Madrid, and one Thomas Partey in some capacity, either as having his release clause triggered or as a partial swap or cash plus player, whatever you want it, is finally going to come to London. What is the status of that?
Yeah, so the news is primarily around Lucas Torreira at the moment. Regarding a loan move with an option. It seems the reports coming out of Spain from certain journalists are that it's extremely close. It's very advanced, and there's one person saying it could have been done in a couple of hours yesterday, but that didn't come off. But ultimately, there was a training picture of Lucas still being in the UK today. As we know, they don't have to quarantine as it stands right now because they're in that sporting bubble. So as soon as Arsenal and Atletico agree on the deal, Simeone's already been on the phone to Lucas Torreira, apparently. The wages have been sorted out, so they're all agreed on terms. It's just waiting for the right deal to be struck. Arsenal have been very open to selling or loaning Lucas Torreira. Again, it gets rid of a non-homegrown. In regards to Thomas Partey, we all know that terms have been spoken about, agreed in principle. It's a case of either Atletico including Lucas Torreira in the deal or Arsenal triggering the release clause, because we've been saying constantly here in the pod that it's not a monetary worry regarding Arsenal at the moment. It's to do with the squad size, and in terms of the squad size, we are bloated at the moment, so we are going to need to sell some people or loan some people to open up some spaces. But looking at the news that's been kicking around over the last couple of days, it's looking extremely prominent that that's going to happen. So, well, I firmly believe Partey will be here come the end of the window, and I sincerely hope it'll be done by the weekend. But that's just my hope. But it may go down to the final word. But it's definitely going to be one that's happening, in my opinion.
Let's stay with it. Let's stay with you at that position, right? We know Lucas Torreira. There was interest we heard earlier before Atletico came in. AC Milan, other big clubs. Torino seemed to have gone cool. So there's a market for him somewhere. It's just a matter of where Arsenal places him. But today, certainly in the last few hours, Mohamed Al-Neni, who looked like he was settling, now comes reports that his agent is in Turkey. He's got potential loan offers from two of the big Turkish clubs there. If both of them are going out, it almost screams at least Partey. And might they stop? Would they stop there would he be enough if both of those guys are going out?
If both of them going out, I would potentially be looking at Samore from Lille and Sangare from I think he's from Toulouse. I'd be looking at both of them as a secondary option to Thomas Partey, because one thing that we really need in midfield is depth. And if we're going to be having a void in depth in the defensive midfield position or the deeper of the midfield positions, then they're two players that I would seriously be looking at. I believe that Arteta's identified the pair of them as Plan B and Plan C. It's just a case of seeing what happens in regards to El-Neni and in regards to Torreira. As I say, Torreira believes definitely off. El-Neni is a bit of a strange one, because he's come in, he done very well in the games that he started under Arteta. Obviously, he come off the bench versus West Ham, but it's strange for him. I think that at his stage of his career now, he wants to be the number one starting midfielder. But looking at his ability and looking at our squad currently, I don't believe he would be getting in over Xhaka or Ceballos. But if you were to say a Partey, a Samore, Sangare, he wouldn't be starting. He wouldn't, in my opinion, he wouldn't make the bench either. So it's definitely one to keep an eye out for. And if he does go, good luck to him. But we will be upgrading in that position. So if he does, I'm all for the players mentioned.
All right, Ryan, we're 18 minutes into the pod, and we have yet to mention the name Houssem Aouar, which probably is a minor miracle. But so here he is, Aouar. We didn't just mention him. We're going to talk about him. Again, with him, they're looking at Partey. He's obviously the second half of that, kind of the essentials, let's call them, for the rest of this window, the 13 days that are left. It's as we've said many, many times, a matter of clearing out space. And we just talked about El-Neni. We just talked about Torreira. Three other potential outgoings, though, that have come up in the last couple of days. Obviously, Socrates, who's been on the outs for days, weeks now. It seems the Napoli is just waiting on Napoli to send Koulibaly somewhere. It seems now, it looked forever he was going to City. Now he may be going to PSG. Shkodran Mustafi now seems healthy. It seems there's a market for him. I've heard Roma. I've heard couple of other Italian clubs, and obviously Sead Kolasinac. We were talking about him on last week's pod, that Bayer Leverkusen is looking at him, and also potentially maybe one or two other German clubs. Three more outgoings. It seems that, again, Aouar could be, he's just waiting. Arsenal is just waiting for the space to be cleared. Any doubts in your mind that Arsenal is just continuing on track with him and with them?
No, and I'm extremely confident now about Aouar, and I'll tell you why. because there was a report today that said Aouar is aware of a Champions League club preparing an offer for him. What does that sound like? It sounds like their president Ulis saying Manchester United are coming in for Lacazette. When we brought Lacazette, it's following the same pattern, same path as that. And Lyon are panicking because he's got no other market than us. Fabrizio Romano said he agreed terms with Arsenal. Arsenal in constant contact with his agents. He shares the same agency as Mikel Arteta, as David Ornstein pointed out earlier today. So it's following the same pathway. Now, I said Lyon are panicking because they know he has no other market other than us. PSG can't afford him because they tried to loan Bellerin off us. They're trying to loan Dele Alli. Juve have signed 2 midfielders already in Arta and McKennie. Man City have confirmed numerous times they don't want a midfielder. So it only leaves us. So now their president is leaking information to the press to make Arsenal bid now because we hold all the leverage now. Because we know Lyon need to sell because they're in financial difficulties. We can wait till next Monday with a week left and say, here's 45 million. You have to take this because you need a replacement. And you've got a week to get him in.
Well, I don't know if we've shared this on our Say by the Bellerin Twitter feed, but you pulled up comments from a couple of years ago when Lacazette came to Arsenal. And there were statements from Alas about a week prior to the deal being consummated. And what he said then was identical to what he was saying this weekend about Alas. It's like, well, maybe Arsenal doesn't have the money, maybe they don't have the confidence, maybe they're just not up to it. He seemed to be kind of taunting them, kind of picking at him like, come on, give us the money, but like kind of poking them in that way. And it's like you could have taken the Lacazette statement, crossed his name out, written Aouar in, and he's just making the same blanket statement. It's what you said. It's not just the same arc, it's almost to the word with the way this transfer narrative is going right now.
Yeah, and to me, it translates desperation. It's like, please bid now. Please, we need as much money as possible because they do need a replacement for him. And I can't remember the kid's name. I think it might have been Panquetta from Milan. They're looking at as a replacement. And he's going to cost 25 million euros. So half of that is what are we going to pay? I think we're going to seal the deal for 45 million pounds. So half of that, it's going to go straight out. So they're desperate for money. It doesn't look like the deal for Depay is happening for Barcelona. There's no market for Dembele. So again, they need a big sale and a replacement.
Clock is ticking, right? The clock is ticking.
Exactly that.
In Arsenal's favor. All right. Sam, another peculiar rumor gained root yesterday of a potential swap deal between 2 London rivals, Chelsea, Arsenal. A lot of whispering, not a lot of concrete, not a lot of names, nothing put out in the open, but a lot of rumors that Matteo Guendouzi might be the Arsenal target that could be going. And we've been discussing it with all of you out there. Throw it in the chat. Who would you want off of Chelsea's current roster? I mean, I know who I'd want, but I know they're not going to sell me Pulisic. They're just not going to do that. But I mean, who is realistic if we're looking at a swap with Matteo Guendouzi going one way? Or first off, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not get presumptuous. Is Matteo Guendouzi the player that we were talking about? Is this just smoke? I don't know. What do you know of this?
Well, as you say, the whispers were that it was Guendouzi, but there's no concrete evidence to that. Obviously, there was also some rumours yesterday flying around that he'd handed in a transfer request. Again, that's been shot down by James Only today to say that L'Equipe didn't report that. But in terms of who I would take from Chelsea, for me, I think we'd need to have a like-for-like swap, a rotation, again, another rotational midfielder. And that midfielder for me would be Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I think there's a real player there, and under Arteta's guidance, he would really come out shining. I know that a lot of people have said as well it could be Houssem, but for me, I kind of struggle to see where he fits. You've also got to take into consideration he signed a 5-year contract last year on 120,000 a week. For a player that's his age, hasn't really done anything, that's quite astronomical wages. And Chelsea kind of got bullied into offering him that deal because he had the England call up. They also had Bayern Munich breathing down the neck trying to sign him on a free deal. So essentially, they shit the bed and offered him massive wages. But if he was to come, he would, in my opinion, need to halve his wages. And as we discussed today in the chat, he would need to have a heavily performance-based contract so that if he wants to be earning that kind of money, he's going to have to earn it, so to speak. So for me, there's another name as well I'd probably take, and that's Reece James. Because if Hector Bellerin does end up going, but I really doubt that he will, then Reece James would be a very good deputy to come in. Obviously, then you still have Cedric as the backup. In my opinion, we couldn't go into the season with him as first choice, and then also you've got Ainsley Maitland-Niles that can play on either wing as fullbacks or on the wings or in the middle. But again, a lot depends on whether he's still going to be here come the end of the window. But it's definitely an interesting potential swap. But again, for me, if Guendouzi is the player, I'm a bit perplexed by that from Fat Frank, because I wouldn't have thought that he would be a player that fits his current model. But if it is, fair play and get lost, basically.
Not touching that one. Ryan, we've talked about that one to death, so I mean, there's no need piling on. Another name, we talked about surprises, right? We talked about Anton Edouard really going back months as, could he fit Arteta's system? He's a target man. He's young. He's tall. He's good in the air. He's good with the ball at his feet. We were kind of pondering whether Lacazette's going to stay. Is Lacazette going to go? Right now, it looks like he's going to stay, but these things change almost day to day. I mean, we could finish the show in an hour from now. We'll hear rumors that is maybe Atletico's back in for him or Italian club's back into him. But it looks like he's going to stay for the moment. But a guy like Edouard, he seems unsettled. His manager was very petulant over the weekend talking about him. It seems that, Makey asked if he was moving because, a couple of the Scottish papers had said Arsenal was tracking him as recently as last week. Neil Lennon was saying, no, he's not for sale. He was very adamant. He seemed agitated by that he'd even be asked the question. But the player didn't play on the weekend. He had injured it. We have to put that in quotations. Was he really injured? Is this something to keep an eye, to continue tracking if you're an Arsenal partisan? Might that be one of those surprise moves as deadline day gets closer and closer, that maybe it'll pop up again, 48 hours or even the day of the deadline?
I hope so. And his comments were quite strange. He said that he's suffering from fatigue. I'm sorry, the Scottish League finished ages ago and has only just started up. He's played 4 games in a month, I think, or whatever, 3 weeks or whatever. That's pretty normal for a football player, especially at 22 or 23, whatever he is, to suffer from fatigue this soon into a season. I mean, it's a bit iffy. Maybe he's had his head turned. Like, his agent's been in talks with clubs, and he's like, he's not there mentally to play right now. But I hope it is, because he's literally perfect for how Arteta wants to play.
All right. No question. He is a true number 9. He can play with his back to the goal. right?
Yep.
He checks all the boxes. All right, let's move into the week at hand. 2 matches coming up, pretty big ones. Let's talk about the strength of the squad. Obviously, they're playing Leicester tomorrow. Is it simply a matter? I look at it. It's like to me, it comes down to how much does Mikel want to push for this? I think he could win that match if he really wants to, but right after that is Liverpool. Again, we talk about balance. So how do you predict it? Or, are you, and you're perfectly welcome to qualify it based on who he fields, who you think he's going to field. Will Arsenal take that match? No, and we know, in fact, this is the funny thing. If they get past that, they're probably going to play Liverpool in the next round.
Yeah, I can see us taking a result. So I don't think Brendan Rodgers is going to want to play in the Carabao Cup because they're in the Europa League as well, and they're going to have quite a few games totting up. So I think our second string is stronger than their second string. We've got better depth to our squad than they have, so I think we'll take it.
All right, Sam, do you have a prediction to offer there? Qualified or not?
I would probably say we'd eke out a 1-0 win. I think that it depends on whether our second string it depends whether our second string want it enough. Because some of them in that second string, you can sometimes question their mentality. But yeah, I think a 1-0 win.
All right. I mean, and I'm going to hold off on the Liverpool predictions, the Liverpool breakdown. That's for Thursday. And that is, we're going to spend a great deal of Thursday's pod talking about that. How do they match up? How can they match up? They matched up pretty well. It seems our manager is not phased. Our players are not phased by the champs in any way. But the champs looked pretty good when they beat Chelsea the other day. So, it's at Anfield. A lot to discuss. And also there's a lot's going to depend on the marketplace. Perhaps we'll just end with this. I'm going to go back to you, Sam, and I'll come back to Ryan. By Monday, again, the Liverpool match is on Monday. Whether they're ready to play or not, can Arsenal push at least one of these deals through, midfielder deals through, by the weekend, in your opinion? And which one?
I want to say yes, but it's likely going to be no. If it's going to be one of any, I think it would probably be Partey.
Oh, okay. Ryan, where are you a little more bullish? Are you more guarded? I mean, are we going to be sweating this on transfer day on our show? Like with the countdown ticker.
I feel like we're going to be in 2013 all over again. Sat at our TVs with our phones, waiting for the announcement of Mesut Ozil. I think it's going to be like that again this summer. Sorry. And if one is to be signed before then, I think it would be. I'm going to go completely different. I think it'd be a war, mainly because if their president sees that we've just slapped 45 million down for Partey, that he's going to be like 20 million extra, please, sir, and we're not going to be able to buy him.
But it does look like it's close, as you said. Lyon does not have leverage at this point. All right. Okay, well, I don't want to go around in circles. We've come to the end of this version of the Saved by the Bellerin pod. We want to thank all of you who come regularly. We're seeing fans from really around the world who are staying up late and sending us messages and catching this afterwards. Whether you're listening to it at work or you're working out or wherever you're coming, and we are grateful you helped us grow, and we're happy to bring the Arsenal, our Arsenal chats and our fandom, and share the fandom and share the journey with you. So until we come back on Thursday, let's just bid you adieu, cross our fingers, and hope that good transfer news of both the outgoing and the incoming variety occurs. All right. So on that happy note, for Sam and for Ryan, I'm Raphael, and we'll bid you a good night.